What's going on, guys? Mr. Kansichigala here. Hope you're all doing great. Hope you're having a great day. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. It really massively helps. And please keep watching the videos. Please kind of give it a listen. That support also really helps in terms of increasing my views. And also, if you happen to like the video, please subscribe. Please like at the video. Please push the thumbs up button to like the video. And if you haven't done so, also please push that notification bell so that you can get notified each time I post a new video. Today, I would like to talk about Timo Werner, who plays for Chelsea. So I've been checking the transfer news, the latest transfer news, and it's looking increasingly likely that Timo Werner is going to go back to Germany, and he's going to go back to RB Leipzig on a season-long loan. The reason why Timo Werner is pushing for a move away at Chelsea is obviously because he's not been playing enough, and the World Cup is coming up this year. The World Cup is going to start in November and end in December in Qatar later in the year. So he needs to be playing in order to put himself in contention for the German national team. Because if he's not playing consistently, then there's a high chance that he might not make that German team, that German national team for the World Cup. So that's why he's really pushing for a move, and he wants to go somewhere else to play regular football, regular first team football, because he wants to put himself in pole position for selection in the German national team for the World Cup squad. So obviously, as we all know, Timo Werner has not been a success at Chelsea. He's massively he's been way below expectations at Chelsea. Because a lot of people expected him to score goals in the Premier League, because of the amount of goals that he scored in the Bundesliga. Because in his last season, if I recall correctly, you can correct me if I'm wrong in this, I think he scored 28 goals in 30-something appearances in the German Bundesliga. And the maximum number of games you can play in the German Bundesliga is 34 games in one season. It's not like the Premier League or La Liga or French League, the French League, or the Italian League, Serie A. There's a maximum number of 34 games. So he had a return of 28 goals in 30-something appearances, which is a more than decent return, because it is, even though the German Bundesliga has less quality than the Premier League, it is still a professional league, and it still has teams that play in the Champions League. So it's not easy to just score 28 goals in one season, but he did. And as much as we can say the German Bundesliga is a relatively weaker league than the Premier League, so it's not a surprise that someone who scored goals in the Bundesliga, who scored a lot of goals in the Bundesliga, has struggled to score goals in the Premier League. But in recent history, there's plenty of players who've moved from the Bundesliga and gone to Premier League clubs and done relatively well. Examples that stick out to my mind is Kevin De Bruyne at Manchester City. Kevin De Bruyne is a way better player at Manchester City in England than he was when he played for Wolfsburg in the German Bundesliga. I think about Ilkay Gundogan, who also used to play for Borussia Dortmund, who now plays for Manchester City. He in season 2020-21, he scored 16 goals in the Premier League. That was the highest return. That was the highest goal scoring return in his career, in terms of goals in a single league campaign. And he did it in the Premier League, but he didn't do it in the German Bundesliga when he played in the German Bundesliga. And then Aubameyang for Arsenal. Aubameyang moved from Borussia Dortmund to Arsenal, and he didn't struggle to score goals at Arsenal up until he got his new contract of £350,000 a week. And then I don't know what happened with him after he got his new contract, whether he lost desire to play or whatever, because he had secured the bag. But he was a shell of himself after he had signed his new contract. But before that, he was a match winner for Arsenal, and he was a top player. He was amongst the best scorers in the Premier League. And I think there is one season when he won the Golden Boot in the Premier League, which if you're not a quality player, if you're not a top player, you never win the Golden Boot in the Premier League. And then Leroy Sané also used to play for Manchester City before he went to Bayern Munich, and he had, so far, his best season professionally his best 2 seasons professionally have been at Manchester City in season 2017-18 and 2018-19. Those were his best season in terms of goal scoring return and in terms of assists. And then he's gone to the Bundesliga and he plays for the best team in Germany, but he still hasn't been able to replicate that form that he showed in the Premier League. He hasn't been able to replicate it in the Bundesliga. So there's plenty of situations where you can say, like, as much as you can say the Premier League is a tougher league and has more quality than the German Bundesliga, but there's plenty of examples that you can look at where players have actually performed consistently better in the Premier League than they did in the Bundesliga. So I don't think you can just kind of say the main reason why Timo Werner has not been successful at Chelsea is because the Premier League is a tougher league than the German league, and therefore that's why he's found it tougher. So that's what I really want to talk about here, is that what is the main reason why Timo Werner has not been a success at Chelsea? What is the main reason why he hasn't been able to replicate the form that he showed at RB Leipzig before he went to Chelsea? And I think I didn't watch a lot of Timo Werner before he went to Chelsea, but I did watch some games of RB Leipzig, especially in the Champions League, because they were a rapid team that used to counter-attack a lot, and they scored a lot of goals. And Timo Werner was obviously at the centerpiece of all of that scoring. But there's something I noticed with regards to the way RB Leipzig play, or the way RB Leipzig used to play when they had Timo Werner. So RB Leipzig always used to play. I think they still do even right now. But when Timo Werner was playing at RB Leipzig, they used to play a 4-4-2. And then obviously the four defenders or the four midfielders is not like, that's not what I'm going to talk about. I want to talk about Timo Werner. Timo Werner used to play as part of the two of the 4-4-2, and he used to play with Yusuf Poulsen. Yusuf Poulsen plays for Denmark, and he still, I think, plays for RB Leipzig in Germany. Now Yusuf Poulsen is not he's not regarded as one of the best strikers in the world, but he's a centre forward. He's a big centre forward who is relatively good at holding up play, and he's a good finisher. He's not a top-class finisher who's going to score you 30 goals a season, but he's a more than decent finisher who can score goals. And he scored goals in the Champions League, and he scored goals in the Bundesliga as well. But what I want to focus on with regards to Yusuf Poulsen is not his ability to score goals, but his ability to link up play, and his ability as a presence to drag attention from the other players. So what I mean by that is that Timo Werner used to play with Yusuf Poulsen, and Timo Werner used to play just basically behind Yusuf Poulsen. So Yusuf Poulsen used to lead the line. He was the striker who used to lead the line, and who used to do the pressing, who used to win the headers and link up play and all of that stuff. And Timo Werner used to be a threat in behind. Timo Werner used to run in behind, and basically Yusuf Poulsen used to feed him the ball, or the midfielders for RB Leipzig used to feed him the ball, and he would beat the offside trap, and he would get a lot of one-on-ones with the goalkeeper and score goals that way. A lot of his goals, like in the German Bundesliga, were scored that way, where he used to play with a centre forward who played ahead of him, and he used to play behind the centre forward, and then that centre forward used to basically he used to grab all the attention from the defenders, and Timo Werner would have a lot of space to run in behind in order to be able to score goals. Now at Chelsea, it's slightly different in terms of the way Chelsea play. So the way that Chelsea play is that obviously under Tuchel, because the coaches of Timo Werner at Chelsea have been Frank Lampard and Thomas Tuchel. But Frank Lampard was not, he did not coach Timo Werner for a long time, because he was there in 2020 at the beginning of the 2020-21 season when they bought Werner and Havertz and all the other players that they bought, but he was sacked in January. So he spent the first half of the season at Chelsea, but then he was dismissed by Roman Abramovich in January, and Thomas Tuchel came. Now under Thomas Tuchel, whom Timo Werner has predominantly played under when he's been at Chelsea, because he's played longer under Thomas Tuchel than he did under Frank Lampard. But under Thomas Tuchel has played a back three system at Chelsea. He's played a 3-4-3 with three attackers, and his three attackers were he predominantly uses Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, and Mason Mount as his three attackers. Now, Timo Werner is playing just behind Kai Havertz, and he's playing basically in the same position as Mason Mount, kind of like as the attacking forwards in a front three of a 3-4-3 system. Now, the problem is that Kai Havertz is not a centre forward. Kai Havertz is not a number 9, and he's a big lad, but he does not have those striker's instincts of being able to, obviously he can hold the ball well because he's technically very good, but he doesn't have he doesn't have the intelligence of a striker. Kai Havertz is a central attacking midfielder, so he's at his best when he's playing as a central attacking midfielder. When he's playing as a false nine, yes, he can basically hold up play, but his linking up play, the way that you want a striker to link up play, is not really up to scratch. Yes, he's a good centre forward, but with his back to, yes, he's a good player, but he's really, like, if you want to maximize his potential, you have to play him as a central attacking midfielder, because in terms of grabbing attention from centre backs, he doesn't grab attention from centre backs, because he basically plays as a false nine. He doesn't play as a striker. Even though he's playing in the striker's role, he's more of a false nine than a number nine. Unlike Yusuf Poulsen at RB Leipzig, who used to play as a number nine and who used to be a big presence, and he used to grab all the attention from the defenders and used to win all the headers and used to link up play well with Timo Werner, and he would basically allow Timo Werner to have a lot of space to run into in behind, because he would drag the he would drag the centre backs with him, because he's a striker. Now, like in systems where a team plays a striker, the centre backs always focus on the striker. So if a striker is playing with a player in behind him, that player in behind the striker will have a lot of space to run into in behind, especially if he has a lot of pace. And he's not going to be marked all the time, because the centre backs are going to be predominantly focused on the danger, which the danger they always believe is the striker, not the person who's playing behind the striker. So Timo Werner has gone to Chelsea, and he's basically playing in a vastly different system than the one he was used to at RB Leipzig, where he basically used to have a lot of space to run into in behind, and he used to basically, like his strike partner, sorry for that, my ear was itching there a little bit, but basically his strike partner, he used to be the one who drags all the attention from the centre backs, and he would predominantly basically be, like he was able to roam free in behind the striker without necessarily having a lot of people who are going to man mark him. Whereas at Chelsea, he's basically playing either as a left wing or as a forward, but he's not playing with a striker. Therefore, there's a lot of, like, the centre backs, even though they don't focus on anyone because Chelsea don't play with a striker, the centre backs are basically, they drop back if they're not playing against a striker, because there's no presence who basically is able to grab their attention and move them forward and basically make them leave space in behind for Timo Werner to attack. As a result, Timo Werner does not have a lot of space to attack in behind the defense, and because he doesn't have a lot of space to attack in behind the defense, that takes away his greatest strength. Because Timo Werner's greatest strength, even when he used to play for RB Leipzig, was his pace. It was his pace in that there was a lot of space in behind because of Yusuf Poulsen, who used to grab the attention from the centre backs, and therefore, because there was a lot of space in behind, he used to use his pace to run in behind the defenders and have one-on-ones with the goalkeeper, and be able to have a lot of chances in terms of one-on-one chances, and that would basically increase the chances of him scoring. Whereas in the Premier League, because of the way Chelsea play, he does not get the same chances that he used to get at RB Leipzig, and therefore he's found it very difficult to score goals. And if you look at the games where Timo Werner has showed glimpses in terms of his quality, I remember a game against Southampton where I think he scored 2 goals. Southampton in that game played a very hard defensive line, and Timo Werner was able to exploit the space in behind the defenders. And when you give Timo Werner space in behind the defenders that he can exploit, then he's going to be lethal and it's going to be dangerous, because he has a lot of pace, and a lot of defenders are not going to be able to keep up with him because he has rapid pace. So I think that's one of the reasons why Timo Werner has struggled at Chelsea. It's because he's playing in a system under Thomas Tuchel whereby it's not utilizing his greatest strength, which is pace. Because Timo Werner, apart from having a lot of pace, he's not very good technically in terms of his ball technique. He's not like a good technician, and he's not a top-class finisher. So by taking away his pace, which is his greatest strength, there's kind of nothing that he offers. Yes, he works hard, he has a great attitude, and that's why Thomas Tuchel likes to play him. But apart from that, if you are not going to utilize his pace in behind the defender, like in behind the defense of the team that you're playing against, then it's almost like, yes, he's there, but there's nothing he's really going to do, because he does not have his number one weapon, which is space in behind the defense, which he can use his pace to exploit. So I think that's the main reason why Timo Werner has not been a success at Chelsea, and he's now seeking a move away from Chelsea because he wants to obviously play football and all of that stuff. I think that the main reason why it's basically the fact that he's playing in a vastly different system, as I've explained in the video, than the one he used to play. He used to play at than the system he used to play in when he was at RB Leipzig in Germany. So I think Chelsea have done this quite a lot, and when I say quite a lot, it's because like they also tried to move N'Golo Kante before Thomas Tuchel came, because Thomas Tuchel used him as kind of like a defensive midfielder, and that's why they were able to win that Champions League with Kante, because if they didn't have Kante, they would have never won the Champions League in my opinion. But like under Sarri, he tried to convert Kante into a central midfielder, which is a number 8, instead of a number 6, which is a central defensive midfielder, and that takes away from basically like that kind of takes away what Kante does best, which is to defend and to destroy and to be able to kind of like shelter the defense. And then also with Romelu Lukaku, who came to Chelsea last year, and there was a lot of hype with regards to Romelu Lukaku coming to Chelsea, and a lot of Chelsea fans were optimistic that they were going to be able to win the title because they had won the Champions League without Lukaku, and they now had Lukaku, who was a big centre forward who could score goals. But Thomas Tuchel asked Lukaku to change his game in order to fit into the system. And then Lukaku obviously wasn't willing to change his game in order to fit into the system, and therefore he was a failure. And that's why he's gone back to Inter Milan, because Thomas Tuchel asked him to basically kind of link up play, be a player who's going to link up play instead of a player that's going to exploit spacing behind the defense, which is Lukaku's greatest strength. And his link up play is not very good. Like Lukaku's link up play is not very good because he's not very good technically. So I think Chelsea have kind of been a victim of like they've kind of been the major reason why Timo Werner and Lukaku did not succeed at Chelsea. Obviously, Timo Werner and Lukaku also have to take some responsibility, because ultimately, if you go to a new team, even if you're being asked to do something different, you have to do that. You have to do whatever you're being asked to do by the coach, which Lukaku wasn't willing to do, and that's why he fell out with Tuchel, and Tuchel did not pick him in like the big games that they played. Like for example, against Real Madrid, he wasn't picked against Real Madrid when Chelsea got knocked out in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. That's a big game. It's a Champions League quarterfinal, and he wasn't picked, whereas he was fit to play. So I think, yes, Timo Werner and Lukaku also deserve some blame, because you can't just blame the coach all the time or blame the club. But I think the major reason why Timo Werner and Lukaku, but obviously I was talking about Timo Werner in this video, the reason why he's not been successful at Chelsea is because of that thing of playing in a different system than the one he used to thrive at when he used to play at RB Leipzig. So if you have any comments about the video, if you have another reason why Timo Werner has not been a success at Chelsea, you can comment in the comment section below. And then also, if you like the video, please push that thumbs up button, and if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. The support really helps, and push that notification bell so that you can get notified each time I post a new video. It's Luka Nisotchikela, and thank you for watching the video.